Well, first off, Chris, I'm definitely an alcoholic. I think it's important to remind myself that every day. I've been sober for about uh, over 10 years and some change. January 1st of 2010 was my sobriety date. It wasn't planned like that, like not like a New Year's resolution or anything. I just kind of happened to fall on that date. But yeah, so basically, my story in a nutshell. Um, I would say I got a father who's got the gift. I got a brother who's got the gift, and then I hit the jackpot as well. And we're a very Canadian family, and grew up in a lot of our alls we did was play hockey and drink pretty much. I mean, we were pretty blessed with being able to play. It's an expensive sport and create some memories and whatnot. But um, I wanted to be like my brother, and my brother probably wanted to be like my dad, and we all wanted to be successful. In our family, there's about 6 to 7 family members in our extended family as well that have played in the NHL. So that was always the route. So I fell into that. And basically, I left home at 17. I moved to British Columbia, and it's 19 to drink out there. And I wanted to fit in with the guys. And I didn't really know how to say no. And I didn't really understand my gift yet. And, I guess a prime example, one of the first nights that I got there, there's a buddy that had asked me, one of my teammates, there's only two of us in town, and he had asked me if I wanted to go out for a drink, and one turned to two, and he was like, I thought we were just going to have a drink. And I'm like, let's get a picture. And then it was off to the races. And, we brought some uh, girls back that night in our billet home, and they were not too pleased. And it was a terrible idea, really. My billet or host family were actually two RCMP members, one, Bob and Jan, awesome people, but they had a 7-year-old kid, and they were just basically like, this can't happen. And that was probably, that was really the start of it. But so that was kind of the name of the game, was playing hockey and figuring out a way to be able to be successful and use for me. So, um, it's tough. What do you talk about with your story? I guess. I mean, for me, I'm gonna fast forward it, and I'm gonna go from I started off playing junior hockey. I'm gonna go up to pretty much where I hit my bottom, and my disease had progressed. And we talk about, I'll never drink after 9, or I'll never drink after 11, or I'll try only drinking wine, or I'll try only drinking vodka, or I'll only drink vodka so I can cut the calories, or maybe I'll just try smoking weed for a little while, try the marijuana maintenance program. And then it's like, oh, like, I'm not as bad as like another guy who throws coke up their nose. It's a chemical, it's nasty. And then it's like, oh, next thing you know, like, I'm throwing coke up my nose. And it just I found myself wanting to use and preoccupying every single day. And the moment that I woke up, like, I felt so much anxiety, um, just to be able to make sure that I was gonna find some relief for the day, whatever drug of choice that might have been. And when I moved to, I ended up going D3, playing hockey out there. I got kicked off the hockey team before the season started that year. I, was found with a gas mask on my face and smoking weed. And I think I had been in 3 fights, and I was seeing the dean, and I pulled the carbon monoxide alarm. I was messed up, and I thought it was an intercom. I just thought it'd be funny to talk to somebody while I was messed up, and the alarm went off, and I was as shocked as everybody else. But long story short, there's like last 2 weeks there, and um, I sold my Xbox, for some coke. I was out of money, and just scavenging, doing whatever it took to be able to get high. And wasn't proud of myself. Was super ashamed, and I found myself wanting to isolate in my dorm. And uh, I actually I got into a fight, was drunk in public, and then tossed in the drunk tank. My mom found out, and then she wrote me a goodbye letter. She's very well versed in um, detaching with love and not enabling. And she just said that you're not welcome home. You're not going to jeopardize your father's sobriety or your brother's sobriety. And you can't come home until you get 6 months clean, or live in a sober house, or, whatever the case may be. And my initial reaction was, I absolutely fucking hate her. And I emailed her back, saying that you gave birth to me, and mother, coming from her own womb and everything is like disowning me. And I was so angry. I told her I didn't want you for any of the milestones of my life. And pretty ruthless back. And then, I just, I kind of always knew that it was probably going to end up going that direction, but I finally said yes, and I'll go to treatment. And my sister was going to come up, and on the day I knew she was coming up, everybody was sober in my family. So I just thought, like we had drank before together, and whatever, if I'm going to go to rehab, I'm going to, drink or use until I go to rehab. And I just remember having like a handle of Jack Daniels in the fridge. That was it. Like there was no food, nothing. And I woke up that morning, I knew she was coming later, and I'm like, all right, we're not going to drink till she gets here. And then it was, man, like I can probably just have one shot, or like, man, I can have, half the bottle. And after that, it was gone. And I left the door open knowing that I probably wasn't going to be able to move, with a pail or a trash can right under my dorm bed. And I was laying on my stomach, just expecting that I was probably going to puke, and I wasn't feeling well. I'll never forget the look on my sister's face when she walked in and she saw, you know, her brother at that point, in my use. So anyway, long story short, or getting shorter, we packed up my stuff, and I ended up rolling 7 joints for the car ride home. And I think we had like 4 or 5 days until I was, able to actually fly to Minnesota to get sober, go to rehab there. And I ended up drinking in the airport. And so I went to Hazelden. At first, actually, it was kind of crazy. It's a good story. My parents, they owned a mortgage company for about 25 years. And during the 08, 09 market crash, their business went belly up, and they always thought that they could outwork everything. That was not the case, as it was for a lot of people. So at the point where I needed help the most, we didn't have any money. And my dad called up Hazelden and basically, got to director, and he was just like, look, I got my wife's wedding ring and a boat left that hasn't been repossessed. How do I get my kid to rehab? And the other guy kind of broke down into tears, and his dad had done something similar to him, and they admitted me and gave me a scholarship for the first 28 days. So when I was there, they recommended me to extend it for another 3 months. And I said that I was willing to go. I want to go, but we're not going to be able to afford it. So she was like, Chris, I want you to write a letter and say how bad you want it. So I did. I poured my heart out on this letter. And then like people started coming up to me that had worked at Hazelden. There was like, that was, really good, blah, blah, blah. A couple of days went by, and then I found out that I've been granted, an entire 90-day stay. And I, to my knowledge and what was conveyed to me, is that had never been done before, because society or people believe that young people in sobriety can't stay sober lifelong, and it's a waste of money. So that was cool. And then did that. Meanwhile, giving up basically the love of my life, which was hockey, and wanting to continue to pursue my dream of playing in the NHL. So I got sober, in treatment. I was about 4 months sober, went back home. I was to do 90 and 90. And then I remember my first meeting, like I drove up and sat in the parking lot, watched a bunch of goofy characters go into Brighton Hospital in Michigan. I think that's where Eminem went the first time he got sober. That's what I heard. And anyway, so sat in the parking lot, waited an hour, didn't go in, went back home. My parents asked me how the meeting was, and I was just like, I tried. I sat in the parking lot, and then I drove home. And my dad laughed, because my dad had done exactly that. But then anyway, so I ended up doing 90 and 90. Met some people. It was okay. Didn't love, sobriety in Michigan. I guess maybe I was a little bit of a snob about it. I don't know. I see a lot of commonalities, newly in sobriety, with entitlement and stuff. And anyway, so at that point, I was about stayed sober that summer. I wanted to continue playing hockey. So then my cousin called me, said that I could get a shot playing in the Southern Professional Hockey League in Huntsville, Alabama. So I had no money. I raised enough money after a garage sale, selling all my shit. I bought a car, and then I packed up everything, moved down there, and then I ended up I was there early because I wanted to hang out with my cousin, wanted to train, wanted to get to know the guys and stuff. And It's in professional hockey, everything is paid for. Your apartment's paid for. Every little necessity is paid for. When you're getting paid, whatever it is, it wasn't much, but it was cool to say you get paid to do what you love to do. It's like $500 a week, but you take that money. Most guys are spending it on coke, weed, drinking. Another story for the boys in the locker room. And it sucks when you're first initially sober and trying to fit in and getting to know the guys, and you feel like a fucking alien. So I had to really figure out, what's more important, fitting in and having a good time, or do I want my fucking life? And I wanted my fucking life. So every day, I heard some guy in a meeting at that point in time. He was like, "It's really easy to be spiritual on top of a mountain." I was like, "Well, I fucking need all the help that I can get." So there was a mountain next to us down in Huntsville, Alabama. And I would bike up about probably an hour, and I would just sit at this cliff, and I just overlooked the town. And I'd literally pray, "I don't know who you are. I don't know how to do this. I know I can't do this by myself. I know that Chris left to his own devices will fuck this up. I'm scared to death, and I don't want to use, and I want to pursue my dream. Please help me." That was pretty much the sum of it. I do that every single day. And, meanwhile, you come back and the guys are smoking weed and whatnot. And anyway, so some time went by. There was one night where there was nobody in the apartments, and it was eating at me, man. It was like what my dad had always said, like, you can only stay around the fire before you get burned, or like, hang around the barber, shop, you're going to get a haircut, So it was like, I was sitting there all by myself. I knew that one of the guys had a bag of weed in their room, and my skin was so fucking uncomfortable. I'm like, dude, just shut your thoughts up. Just that committee was just going off in my head, and like use, don't use, like you'll blow everything, like what about like that scholarship and going to Hazelden? You're almost a year now. And it's just like, I just couldn't take it. I was so uncomfortable. But in hindsight, it was just, I was in the wrong place to be successful with my new goals. And I had to go through that to be able to identify that. But to this day, like sitting in there, I found this dude's weed, back to stealing, found this dude's weed. I roll up a joint, and I'm just like, I put it up to my face, and I'm about to light it. I'm like, just fucking light it. Just shut everything up. Just fucking light it. I'm like, there was one thought, and I was just like, if I do this, this is never going to stop. So immediately I threw it down. I packed up my shit. They were like, what the fuck? Like I packed up all my shit. I grabbed my hockey gear, said goodbye to my dream. And I drove 16 hours, and I was talking to my dad for like 9 hours on the way home. Like I have to, like, I can't, like my cousin was calling me. He was like, where'd you go? And I'm like, I can't, like, I want my life. To this day, I know for a fact that that was God in the room with me. There's no way, because Chris left at his own devices would smoke, especially if it was free, stolen. I'm going to smoke it, it's what I do. So, that was one of my first experiences, praying every day, biking up to that mountain. You can take it however you want to take it, or I can take it however I want to take it, or people can be like, that's not God, that's God. Here's what I know. It doesn't matter to me to be right. Like we had talked about before, what matters is that I choose to call that my higher power. And to this day, I know that was, God in the room with me. And, it doesn't matter to be right. What matters is to be alive and healthy and to pursue. So, at that point, I called up a buddy that I went through treatment with, and he was like, yo, you should come to Step Up. You can finish getting your degree, go to Augsburg. They got an awesome program, kids from all over. And we basically have like a sober dorm, and there's a flat, and with 10 guys, there's basically 3 flats up there. There's like 2 dudes flats and then a girls flat, and we had ping pong tables and all that stuff. And anyway, it really just provided me a safe environment for me to be able to, work the 12 steps or my program, to hang out with other sober dudes, and to go to meetings and to go to school, and to have kind of that support system. So, you know, I didn't get sober to be fucking miserable. I wouldn't be sober. Like, I just didn't get sober to be miserable. Like, I want to have fun. Like, I want to have fucking fun. Like I'm not going, I'm not going to like isolate myself and, whatever, but I wouldn't be sober if I didn't want to have fun, and I want to have fun. And I think you can have even more fun in sobriety. And I think I made a post about this the other day. Like for me, I would say the reason why I'm sober, like to this day, with almost 12 years now, is because I surround myself with like-minded people. I I listen to my body, or I listen to my mind, my heart, my soul, and I'm just like, if I feel weird, I'm not. If there's any fucking negative, larging it, like I'm not going out. That's just not going to happen. I wanted to have fun, and I was hanging out with other like-minded people and working my program. So that really helped me to be able to finish going to school, and to stay sober. And it bought me some more time in recovery, and some more time to be able to. Sorry, it's saying internet's unstable. So I was like going back and forth with my thoughts and like seeing if this was still kicking. But anyway, it allowed me for some more time to be able to practice my program. It allowed me to develop, and it gave me about 4 5 years, and then I ended up moving home because after traveling around playing hockey, um, I wasn't making sober, happy memories with my family. I was always, preoccupying around holidays, and like, I couldn't enjoy Christmas because I just wanted to get high or drunk, or I wanted to go somewhere. So my brother came up and he was like, look, man, like, you've been away from home, and we got sober so we could enjoy you, and, we can all enjoy each other. And um, mom and dad are getting older. So I moved back to Michigan, and it was awesome. I got to create more memories with my family, and um, I figured out my occupation, which was sales. Never knew I wanted to do sales. Started off came home for a sales gig. My brother kind of talked me into it. It turned out to be a shit show, but through that shit show, just like anything, kind of like when it gets a little stormier, it's a tough time. Good stuff comes out of it. And for me, I identified that I'm actually extremely extroverted, and I don't know. It just it seemed to work. So wanted a track record in sales, and then did the whole Lifetime Fitness gym thing for a bit, and then moved to IT sales now. But it's cool, man. So you get sober. I've been sober now almost 10 years, and there's just so many different like encompassing things that I was talking about with my brother that contribute to long-term sobriety. But I'm kind of a character, and I'm very forthwith about my sobriety, and I take it that seriously, or I make jokes about it where it's like, people are like, do you want to go to happy hour? And I'm like, do you want to end up in fucking Vegas? I'm going to steal your wallet and probably, have sex with your wife. No, I don't want to go to fucking happy hour with you. And they kind of laugh a little bit, and I kind of laugh back, and they're like, yeah, it probably won't, that's cool. I'm like, how about this? How about we do a happy hour where we go to like Top Golf, and it'd be cool if nobody drank, and I could show you guys how to have a good time without being, messed up. And for the people that showed up, we have a good time and we crack up, and it's, you show people, you're a leader, you show people how to have fun, in a different sort of aspect that they might, a normie might not get, which is another blessing of like the program and working the steps and whatnot. So you know I could talk about this stuff for hours. I'm not very good at like having a very concise for like 25 minutes. For me, I mean, you can go to my page or whatever. My dad kind of surprised me. He's like, why have you been sober for 10 years, Chris? And I was like, well, I guess we're on this. I guess I'll chat about it. But it's like, I want to have fun. I want to work my program, and I want to be successful. And at the end of the day, nothing fucking matters. Like everything that's going on in 2020, like nothing fucking matters except for staying fucking sober and carving out your space and continuing to make memories with like-minded people, and enjoying the process. Like getting tied up in all the other bullshit, it's just, I don't know, it's just a waste of time for me. So, but yeah, I'm sober. Just I think I just listen to that intuition a little bit, where if I'm feeling a little bit like I don't trust myself, or I'm having some negative thinking, or any of that stuff, I make sure to stay close to the program, or call some guys, talk some ears off, or pray, or be of service. That's the best thing that works for me, is like getting outside of my head, because I can, like I said, drive myself into the ground. So being of service kind of is like a key role, medication. So it's weird because you feel like selfish that you want to help people because you know that you're going to get like, that relief or whatever. It's funny, but yeah, I don't know. Do you have any questions?